Just over a year ago, I reviewed a watch from a micro brand based out of Thailand, and it kind of blew me away. It had the best case, the best dial, and the best lume out of any watch I had reviewed in 2022, and it's still probably my favorite micro brand dive watch, and that was the Wise Adamascus AD8. But now Wise has come out with a limited edition of this watch in bronze, and I gotta say, I was even more blown away by this version than the original. This is the most beautiful dive watch I reviewed on the channel yet. So take a look and let's get into it. Hey guys, welcome back to Just the Watch. My name's Dave. I live in Japan and I love to collect affordable watches. Now this video is going to be part one of two. Wise actually sent me two watches to take a look at, two limited edition watches. This one is a bronze dive watch. The other one is an absolutely stunning gold dial dress watch. So after you're done with this review, jump over and check out that one as well. Now, if you're into collecting affordable watches like me, bronze watches are always fun to take a look at because to me, they're kind of like the precious metal watches of the affordable watch world. You're not going to get a gold or platinum cased watch in the affordable category. That's impossible. Most of the time, the best you can hope for is stainless steel. So when you get something in either bronze or titanium, it feels just a little bit special. The cool thing about bronze is that it ages and patinas fairly rapidly. So over the course of a few months, you're going to see it go from a very bright, shiny color to a more dull and aged look that gives it a kind of vintage and customized charm, similar to the effect you might get breaking in a new leather jacket or a fresh pair of jeans. And because of that, you tend to see fairly basic finishing on bronze watches, particularly in the affordable category, because you know that that finish is going to be overshadowed by the patina in time. But this watch from Wise comes in at a little bit higher than our usual price point, but with that higher price, you're getting some absolutely amazing finishing on this watch. Now, this watch was given to me by Wise to facilitate this review, which is why you saw the paid promotions flag at the beginning of the video. However, other than the watch itself, I was not given any additional compensation, nor did Wise have any control over the content of this review. So with that said, let's take a look at this limited edition bronze watch, which is also the last time that Wise is going to be offering the Adamascus AD8 in a bronze case. First off, we have a special edition of one of my favorite micro-brand dive watches of all time in the Adamascus AD8. Now, I have reviewed this watch before, so if you're interested in getting a fuller look at it, make sure you check out that one. But to recap, the Adamascus AD8 is a sleek dive watch with a beautifully shaped case and a thin profile. It features intricately faceted markers, a custom beveled handset, ceramic bezel, and a domed sapphire crystal. Whereas so many dive watches seem to draw their inspiration from Rolex or other Swiss-made watches, I feel like this one has more of an inspiration from Seiko and some of their dive watches, but with a more dressy and beautiful aesthetic applied to it. It both looks amazing and feels great on the wrist. But there's a number of changes made to this limited edition, some of them subtle and some of them not so subtle. The most obvious difference is the bronze case material that's used here. And Wise has done a number of limited editions of this watch in the past, sometimes in bronze, but they have said that this is the last time that they're going to offer this watch in a bronze case, and they're limiting this run to 333 pieces. And I was kind of blown away at the color of this bronze and the way that it's been finished when I took it out of the box. I've never seen a bronze watch finished this well. It just has such a beautiful shine to it that it almost looks like it's rose gold. In fact, I liked the look of it so much, I was almost disappointed knowing that it is going to patina and dull over time, which is one of the biggest draws of bronze, actually. People tend to choose bronze watches because it rapidly patinas and ages, giving it a vintage charm. But Wise packaged this watch sealed in an airtight plastic bag to ensure that it gets to you without any oxidation, so you can really appreciate the initial brilliance of this watch. And I'm going to be really curious to see how it does look as it patinas over the months to come. For this limited edition, they've paired the bronze case with a green color scheme, and I love the combination of those green and gold tones here. But while the outer case will patina and dull over time, the gold tone hands and markers will not, so you're always going to get that brilliant gold and green combination here. And I really love the shades of green that they've chosen both for the ceramic bezel and the dial itself. The texture on the dial is another noticeable change from the original. Gone is the intricate engraved crosshatch pattern. Instead, you have a much more subtle grain-like rough texture. and to this texture is applied a green gradient that starts out a little bit brighter in the center and then darkens towards the edge. And those shades of green combined with the very fine grain on that texture kind of remind me of moss growing in the forest. And it's a look that I really like. Another subtle change that I noticed is the bezel action feels a little bit lighter this time around, which I really like. I think the bezel action was a little bit too tight on the original, so it's good to see them loosen it up a bit. Now it's just buttery smooth and has a very satisfying click to it. This is a 120 click unidirectional dive time bezel that is well aligned and fully loomed. And this is as good a time to talk about the loom because it's another area that I was really interested in checking out on this watch. Because when I tested the original Adamascus AD8 on my J-Score loom scale, it absolutely crushed every other watch I had ever tested up till that point, taking the top ranking in my scores. But one of the things that immediately jumped out at me when I opened up this watch is that the loom looks a little bit warmer toned in the daylight. On the original, it was a stark white color, which is typical of BGW9. This one has a little bit more of a cream color, almost like a slight old radium look to it. And it looks great with that green and gold color scheme. I think it looks a lot better than the stark white would. But when you start to add pigments to loom, it usually comes with a corresponding drop in loom brightness. So I was really curious to see how this one would perform. The original Adamascus AD8 came out with a 22 on my loom score, and this one did show a slight drop coming down to 16. And while that is a pretty big drop, it's still amazingly bright. A score of 16 puts it tied for 6th place out of every single watch that I've ever tested, still easily putting its loom in the elite tier, meaning that it's going to outperform almost any other watch you see on the market. And so given that Wise seem to have found a way to both create an appealing loom color in the day and still maintain an elite level of brightness, continues to show that Wise is an absolute master when it comes to loom. Finally, this watch features the Miyota 9039 automatic movement. This is a premium Japanese movement that is slim, has a smooth 28,800 beats per hour beat rate that still maintains 42 hours of power reserve. The Miyota 9039 is the no-date version of the Miyota 9015, so it's great to see the no-date movement paired with a watch that doesn't have a date, so you're going to avoid getting a date position. But for me personally, that's the one thing I don't like about this watch because, again, I always prefer dates on a watch. But that's a personal preference, and I gotta admit, the lack of date on this watch does give it a very clean and elegant look. Now, we gotta wrap this up by talking about the price, but before we do, it's worth noting that this watch does have some nice extras. It includes a second strap, in this case, an FKM rubber strap that also includes a freshness sealed bronze buckle of its own. And the watch comes packaged in one of the nicest wood display boxes that I've ever seen. You really feel like you're opening up a luxury watch that costs thousands of dollars. But thankfully, the cost of this watch is considerably less than that. Now, Wise has this listed at a full retail price of $890, but it seems like all of their watches are perpetually on sale. At the time of this review, this one was available for $689 on their website. And again, it's limited to only 333 pieces. All right, guys, that's going to wrap up part one of our Wise watch reviews for today. Make sure you stick around to check out part two, which is in a different video. That will be linked down below in a pinned comment. And while you're there, make sure you comment, let me know what you think of this watch. I absolutely loved it. And every time I get a new watch from Wise, they continue to go up higher in my mind as being one of my favorite micro brands out there. I'll leave a link to Wise's website down below so you can check it out if you're interested, or if you want to get a watch themed t-shirt like this one. You can get that on my website at justthewatch.com. All right, with that said, go ahead and head on over to part two and check out this gold dialed watch, also from Wise, also limited edition. Thanks, and I'll see you soon.